casting has been a point of contention for some time now. I mean, we've seen it with the Little Mermaid gate, where racist trolls just spawned up out of nowhere, literally from under a bridge, talking about the accuracies of portraying a mermaid racially accurately. I mean, hey, and we also saw it with, Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, and replacing real people with dwarfism for CGI dwarfs. Look, I'm not an expert when it comes to casting. I don't know what Hollywood expects. I don't know what they're supposed to be doing. But I, as a fan, know what I like to see and what I don't like to see. And what I'm most interested in right now is the recent casting of Children of Blood and Bone, the young adult series based on Nigerian mythology and history, written by Tomi Adeyemi. Now, this book has won multiple awards. It's won the Hugo Nebula Award. It was the New York Times best-selling list for like a really long time. I think she only just came out with like the third book maybe 2 years ago. Mind you, I've not read the third book. I've read the first 2 books, loved them. They got me through high school, great representation, really enjoyed it, really opened up my mind to like other genres similar to that as well. See, now at first glance, the casting of this film looks great. It's fantastic, it's magnificent, it's star-studded. And I'm not gonna lie to you, when I first saw it, I was like, double tap, this looks great. And I just rewinded back, had some thoughts, just gave myself a minute to process and just remember what this book was actually about. Because I'm not gonna lie, I was just excited about the faces that I saw in front of me. I was like, oh, we got Denison Idris here, we got Viola Davis, we got Cynthia Erivo. Okay, some interesting faces here, but wait, where was this book actually based again?
Yesterday, the cast for the Children of Blood and Bone movie was revealed. If you don't know what that is, it was a book series. Everybody's in quite a stir, and the obvious reason as to why that is the casting of Amandla Stenberg as Amari. Amari in the book is known for having issues within the royal kingdom because of her skin, her being darker than the people in the royal court or within her family. So a lot of people are shocked to see Amandla Stenberg, who is a mixed race black person or a biracial person, playing this role of a princess whose storyline involved her skin tone and colorism as a central narrative. Now, do not get it too confused. The character is not as dark as the main character, Zélie. Since there was a stark dichotomy between the diviners and then the royals, or, the non-magi, which was that obviously the non-magi and the royals would be of lighter skin tone to signify some type of class struggle, whereas Zélie and the likes are usually darker skinned. People who read the book, correct me if I'm wrong, but it is very interesting to see Amandla Stenberg in this particular story, especially since she has been known to reject such roles. And if you're trying to have a feel of what Children of Blood and Bone is actually like, think of it as Wakanda, but better, because it's actually rooted in actual Nigerian mythology for the Yoruba pantheon specifically. People are arguing if Amandla Stenberg can turn down roles from Black Panther, then why didn't she step away from this?
Hi, my name is Michelle, and if you are new here, existing, or just decided to tap because, well, why not? It's your internet, you're allowed to do whatever you want to do with it, where we talk about pop culture, the occasional politics, books, film, and hell, whatever I deem to be interesting in the furniture space of my mind. I remember about a year ago, maybe it was even less than a year ago, I remember the author of this series posting on her TikTok very, very vocally talking about how there is going to be an open casting call in Nigeria for the cast of this book series and the adaptation that they are doing, and they want people in Nigeria to come out and, I guess, audition for this film.
Paramount Pictures is turning my #1 New York Times best-selling, Hugo Award-winning novel, Children of Blood and Bone, into a movie, and we are holding an open call to cast some diviners. Now, because this book is based in Nigerian spirituality and mythology, we are especially looking for Nigerians to submit, but I won't be mad if you submit anyway.
And I thought, hey, that's really exciting. We have a book based in Nigeria on African mythology. Let's get some young, fresh, vibrant African talent up in the space. And upon my surprise, that's not what we got. So before I go into this video offering my opinion, my review, and my thoughts on everything that's happening with this adaptation, I just want to preface, I'm not Nigerian. I live in Australia. I don't know anything about Nigerian history, Nigerian law, Nigerian mythology, the language, nothing. I just read the book series, really enjoyed it, and thought it was great representation, especially for young teenagers like myself at the time, of the African diaspora. You know, we got African love, we got Black love. I said, yeah, why not? This looks cute. And I loved it. I really did enjoy it. So without further ado, let's get into some of my critiques of this most recent casting and what my thoughts are on it. See, I've mostly given up on film adaptations of books that we love and have known for so long, or even the newer ones that have popped up, because 9 times out of 10, when they do decide to adapt these books, or they decide to cast Black people or even people of color, they often don't do the book justice.
When it comes to Black films, specifically Black African films, I'm used to being disappointed. I'm used to not being surprised by the casting. If I read a dark-skinned character in a book, I expect to see someone's Zendaya shade playing it. You know what I mean? I'm used to it. What's disappointing about Children of Blood and Bones casting is that the author was so loud. She was shouting that she was going to cast people from Nigeria. She was shouting that open casting this, open casting that, new faces, fresh faces. So why do I open up the casting list and I see Amanda Stenberg? Why do I open up the casting list and I see Viola Davis? I love Viola Davis, yeah, but in The Woman King, I saw her accent. And I use that word specifically, I saw her accent. I didn't hear her accent because, hey, put it down, put it down. I'm not the casting list, and half the people are African American. Hey, and this is not like a debate about like what Black actors should play, blah 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 blah. That's a whole different conversation. Now, the African Americans cannot do any sort of African accent, like at all. They're terrible at it. Like, don't give them an African accent to do, and definitely don't give them a Nigerian accent to do. We've seen New Lot's work in Black Panther and Woman King and any other Black African film. You cannot do African accents. Put it down. So after all this shouting about new faces this, Nigerian this, half your cast is African American. 2.5 of them are Nigerian at least, but they're British born Nigerians, but at least they're Nigerian. Your leading actress is South African, and you've cast, after all this wahala, you've now cast a mixed race woman and a dark skinned woman. Make it make sense. It's not making sense to me. Disappointed, but not surprised. But slightly disappointed because of all the shouting that was done about open casting and giving up like young African actors a chance. Like, I wouldn't even be that mad if all the actors were African, at least African and young, because the average age demographic in that casting is 45, bro.
So my first issue with the casting is, why is everyone on the cast so old? Like, respectfully, we're working with geriatrics here, and you know what, that was mean, because all those people on the cast, they're all very beautiful. They have a catalog of work to prove that they will be able to act their ass off, but we've got a young adult novel and the characters are supposed to be 16, 17, 18, even their parents are supposed to be young and vibrant, and we have these old actors playing these young characters. And I know this is not something new for Hollywood, like, we've been known this, we've seen it throughout many different films, but it's like these age gaps within these relationships. I mean, we've got Damson Idris, for example, who's supposed to be playing Amandla Stenberg's sister in the film, and it's like, I'm pretty sure let me actually check that. 33 years old, and he's supposed to be playing a teenage boy. I'm pretty sure, I can't remember. See guys, I can't remember the exact ages of these guys in the books, but I know they were young, they were teenagers. Even Amandla Stenberg herself, she's 26 years old and she's been playing a teenager for the last 10 years. I swear, the first time we saw her play a young person was in the Hunger Games, also where she received a lot of terrible backlash. And you know, she didn't deserve that. She didn't deserve that in the Hunger Games because that casting was spot on, but she's been playing a teenager. Please, free these mid-20s actors from the shackles of playing teenagers. It's not good representation for the people who are watching because they don't look like teenagers, and it's skewing our minds into what we think teenagers look like. They don't look grown. These are adults. We've also got, I'm probably going to butcher this, please correct, I'm sorry South Africa, I'm sorry. We've got Thuso Mbedu as well, and born in 1991. Playing, I'm pretty sure she's playing the lead in this book, which brings me, sorry, mind you, the lead in this book is 17. She's 17 years old, and we've got a 31-year-old playing her, and it's boring, it's tired, it's outdated, and this is exactly why a lot of these like film adaptations are not selling, is because they're not actually representative of the people who are interested in them, and they're not representative of the source material. Stick to the source material and you keep the fans that love the book. The book brings me to my next point. But one thing I have learned about Hollywood and why they do a lot of this casting of older people in these younger roles is because Hollywood seems to have this sort of wait your turn, wait in line sort of mentality when it comes to these projects. It kind of makes sense how, you know, you have a lot of these actors who've been acting for a really long time, and a lot of them don't even get awarded with maybe Oscars, Golden Globes. They don't receive their critical acclaim until much later on in their life, even though if they've made projects from a young age that are amazing. I mean, we've got Timothée Chalamet, for example, whose catalog is insane for somebody his age. I'm pretty sure he's like 28 or something like that, but he still has not won an award. And I mean, we even saw it with Everything Everywhere All at Once, where they awarded Jamie Lee Curtis over Stephanie Sue, who was the star of that film. And it's Jamie Lee Curtis has been in the industry for such a long time that it almost feels like a legacy award, even though there's proof right here in front of us that this young person deserves this award. But I don't think Hollywood likes to give young people opportunities for big projects unless they're super popular. But 9 times out of 10, it seems like they're gonna keep recasting the same people because it's like, oh, I've been in the game 10 years, I've been here, now it's my turn to be in this big project. Even though, like, let the youngins play, like let them work.
Wow, if I had a nickel for every time I was doomed by a puppet, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right?
This is my second point, the light-skinned casting of this film. And everyone remember 2018's The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas that starred Amandla Stenberg? Amandla? So Amandla Stenberg was cast as the lead in The Hate U Give, and there were criticisms on that casting because the lead in the film she's monoracial. I guess she comes from a black family, 2 black parents, but Amandla herself is not. She is very clearly and very obviously biracial. And there's questions like, why was she cast? Why are we taking roles from people who are just as talented, who have the skin tone to match the character, and giving it to someone like Amandla? And I think it was very high and mighty of her, considering she received a lot of backlash for The Acolyte. People said The Acolyte was just bad. And mind you, Acolyte, it's a Star Wars spin-off or something like that. And you know, Star Wars fans, they've been around for a very long time, and in my experience, Star Wars fans are great. I actually really like Star Wars. I'm not crazy about it, but I thought the first 3 films were really funny, like the ones that were made in the 70s. I don't know if they were supposed to be funny, but George Lucas, you did your thing. Anyway, so she was in The Acolyte, and that show got a lot of backlash because it was just bad. It was just a bad show. I think even my brother was telling me about it, and he's a big Star Wars fan. He's like, I generally want to support this, and I don't dislike it because they have a black lead. It's just a bad show. Anyway, so she comes out and says, all you racist trolls are the reason why this show is failing, as if viewers and audiences don't have their own level of discernment to say, hey, I genuinely like this show, I just think the show is bad, it has nothing to do with your race. And I would argue it's a very victim mindset of her to even claim that the show is doing bad because they're coming for her racially. Anyway, she made a few response videos, she talked about it a little bit, but I think it's very high and mighty and quite strange that she can pick and choose when to talk about racial politics and discrimination and all those kinds of things when it suits her, but when it comes to not taking roles for darker skinned actresses or actresses who are not biracial, she's silent. Zip. She's the first one in line, actually. So in this adaptation, Amandla Stenberg is supposed to be Damson Idris's sister. I won't say too much about the book because I actually don't even think the context of the book is necessary to really like explain why this casting is already off. I mean, we already know that already as siblings doesn't really make sense. They're supposed to have the same parents. But in the book specifically as well, they also talk about how her character that Amandla Stenberg is playing is considered darker than everybody else, that she's supposed to her mother tries to like bleach her skin so she can be lighter. Her skin tone is a really big contention in the book, which makes me think that whatever they're planning on adapting, whatever reason they've cast her, unless they're literally going to put her in blackface, they're going to change up the storyline in order to suit her skin tone, which makes it no longer authentic to the book, which makes it boring. People don't want to see the books they love adapted into something they no longer recognize, which is exactly what is happening. And then I also want to talk about the lead in the books as well, Zélie. I also learned that apparently in the Yoruba language, which is what this book takes a lot of its roots from, there's no Z in the Yoruba language. So a few like Nigerians were saying, look, the moment I saw that with this author, I knew that she wasn't a serious person. I just knew that she was just taking whatever she could and just saying, hey, this is based off Nigerian lore and mythology and I'm gonna write a story from it. And I think it's okay to say that you're drawing inspiration from different things and different histories and different cultures, but to say that it is reflective of it but then not do it justice because you simply just didn't want to do the research, I think it's a little bit lazy. I think there are so many different names. I mean, after finding that information out, I just thought, I'm sure there are plenty of different Yoruba names that she probably could have used, but I guess she just decided not to and decided to go with Z instead. Hey, read into that what you will about the author. But I have the book here in front of me, and this is the actress playing Zélie. Zélie in the book is described as being dark. Like the whole thing about her character that makes her so unique and so beautiful and so interesting is that she's darker than everybody else. And it's contrasted with this gorgeous like white afro that she has. And I remember like when I would read and I'd picture her character, I just thought like literally like the moon with like this white gorgeous aura around her. Like that's her character and she's discovering her beauty. Come to find out, they've cast someone with my skin tone as the lead. And this is the book representation of Zélie. So when you get this cover, when you buy this book, this is who you're picturing as the lead. Beautiful, gorgeous white hair, dark skin. This is who you're picturing. Again, it's a complete disservice to whatever point you were trying to make by writing the character that way. It no longer translates, which to me just says, okay, you're writing a new story. This is a new story. This is something different. This is not what we originally read. It's not, it's bit. I was gonna say it's not an adaptation, but I guess it's an adaptation, but I would argue one that is probably not going to sell as well because it's not authentic and it's not what the readers love. And I think there's something to be said about when you adapt something, you must stay true to your core fan base. That's why they love your stories. They are your biggest supporters and they found something special in your book, which is why it became so popular. And then to change it just rewrite the character descriptions because, I don't know, maybe Hollywood saw the project and said, hey, if you want to sell it, you're gonna have to cast these people in it and not the ones you wanted, which makes me think that's what happened during the whole like, oh, the casting was supposed to happen in Nigeria. Maybe they picked up the project, Paramount saw it and said, nah, you're gonna have to put these guys in. But it's interesting because she hasn't actually taken down the video that she's doing open casting calls in Nigeria. So I wonder if it's just gonna be like the background extras that are gonna be like from Nigeria, and then all like the main leads are all these Americans attempting to do like a really bad African Wakandian accent. I mean, we saw it with the Woman King, we saw it with Wakanda Forever. Wakanda Forever, like, love it, but the accents were bad. They're not good. And now we have to sit through this film. Actually, I'm probably not going to watch it because it's not the same books that I read. I'm no longer interested in it. I just think it's very telling of how Hollywood thinks just casting big budget names and changing everything is what it needs in order to sell. And consistently, they're just proven wrong. Look, I'll be honest. I don't see this series making it past a first film. Fantasy is kind of down the drain lately in terms of them trying to adapt these big budget ideas. From what I'm understanding, they don't listen to their core audiences, they don't listen to their fan base, and they don't actually know what people want to see. I think Hollywood is still trapped in the cycle of what has sold in the past, and the profit-driven machine is more concerned about making money, and actually more concerned about the potential of making money than actually writing a good story that is reflective of the original story that was already written that people love so much. But hey, look, I'm keen to see how this is going to play out. I hate to be negative, but I think we're going to see kind of a repeat of, you know, the movie's going to come out, it's not going to be up to par with what the books sort of are like, but they're going to try and attract a new fan base, and I'm guessing that new fan base is probably a lot of like Americans who are maybe not familiar with the book, and so we'll see how that goes. It would have been great to see some fresh young talent. It would have been great to see proper representation of the book characters in the film. I think that would have just been really fun. And also just, it's what people deserve. I think Zendaya said it best. It's like people like Amandla taking roles for Black actresses gives the rest of the world this strange view of what Black women and who Black women actually are. And I do think that there is an erasure of like monoracial, dark-skinned Black women in cinema and in film. It's not to say that there shouldn't be all different types of diverse people in different mediums, but there is something to be said about this intentional erasure of darker-skinned women throughout the film as well, and especially young darker skinned women. I mean, even in this casting, we've got, you know, Viola Davis, Cynthia Erivo, and we've also got I think we've got those two, but it's very rare that we get to see a young dark-skinned Black woman being loved and being a lead and being beautiful, soft and feminine and cool and smart and nerdy and dorky. You know, she's often replaced or she's often pushed aside, and I think this book had a really great opportunity to like bring a young dark-skinned actress to the forefront, and it completely butchered that opportunity. It's a little bit disappointing, but hey, thank you for watching this video. You can check out some of my other content or follow me on my other socials. Peace out, stay safe, drink water, and praise God.